Selling a home in Toronto means fielding requests from buyers, from their agents, from people knocking on your door. Most of the requests, they sound reasonable in the moment, and agreeing to the wrong ones is how sellers end up with blown deals, legal exposure, and regrets that last years. Almost every seller horror stories I've heard in this business starts the same way. The nice person saying yes to something they should have refused. So today is about the word no. 11 requests you will probably hear when you sell, and why the answer to every single one of them is no. This is a business transaction involving the biggest asset you own. You could be warm, you could be polite, and you could still refuse. By the end of this video, you know exactly where the line is because the buyers who ask these things are counting on you not knowing. Number 1, never let unverified people into your home. Someone knocks on the door, saw the sign, just wants a quick look. The answer is no, every time, no matter how friendly they seem. Once your home is listed, every person who enters should come through with an agent or your agent with the booking confirmed and their identity confirmed and a record who was inside and when. That's a core part of what you're paying your agent for. This is not paranoia. A listed home in a publicly advertised building full of your valuables with strangers walking through it. Unbooked visitors have no paper trail. And if something disappears, you have no name, no brokerage, no recourse. Before showing starts, remove your jewelry, the medications, the small electronics, the mail with your personal information, and the spare keys. Every showing, no exceptions. Number 2, never let a buyer test park in your garage. This sounds absurd until it happens to you. A buyer wants to see whether their oversized SUV makes the turn into your laneway garage or fits inside a downtown parking spot. The answer is a measuring tape. Your agent hands them the dimensions and they do the math at home. Because say if the bumper meets your garage frame, you now own the damage, a possible insurance claim, and a delay, all while trying to present a flawless home. A buyer who cannot confidently make the turn, I just told you the parking does not work for them anyway. In this city, where laneway garages and tight parking pads are half the housing stock, this request comes up constantly. No. Number 3, never hand over keys before closing. In Ontario, a sale closes when the lawyers exchange funds and title transfers into the buyer's name, and keys are released through the lawyers on closing day, sometimes late in the afternoon. Until that moment, the house is still yours, and nobody moves in early. Not for convenience, not because their lease ended, not because they are between homes. Listen to how the request will sound. The deal is firm. They just want to move their boxes in a few days early so they don't pay for 2 moves. Sounds harmless. What you actually be creating is occupancy without ownership. If their financing collapsed on the last day, and financing does collapse on last days, you have strangers living in a house they don't own, and you have inherited something that looks like a landlord-tenant relationship with no lease in a province where removing an occupant is neither fast nor cheap. If they get injured moving in and it happened on your property, on your insurance, their bad planning is not your emergency. Keys move when title moves. Number 4, never let the buyer renovate before closing. This includes painting. This one arrives dressed as a compliment. They're so excited. They just want their contractor to pop in, run some wiring, paint a few rooms, get a head start so they can move straight in. And the pitch always ends the same way. If the deal falls through, you keep the improvements. Not keeping improvements. You're keeping someone else's half-finished renovation in a house you would then have to resell. An uninsured contractor on your property is your liability. Open walls are your problem. And a buyer who has already personalized the house has leverage on you for the rest of the transaction. Nobody touches the property until it's theirs. Firm. Always. Number 5, never allow unlimited access visits. Talking about buyer visits. In Ontario, the agreement purchase and sale, buyer visits before closing are always what you negotiate. And the standard in Toronto is about 2 or 3 for the walkthrough, the measurements, whatever they need, scheduled through your agent. Hold that line. Some buyers treat an accepted offer as a membership card. The designer visits, the flooring guy, the contractor quote, the parents flying in, the second cousin who knows about basements. Every extra body through your house is another chance for an accident, a new objection, or a damaged wall you get blamed for while you're trying to pack up the household. The visits and the contract, cheerfully. Everything beyond it, no. If you're selling a Toronto home this year, or you'll be once the right house shows up, subscribe. Every week, I cover what actually protects your money in this market. Second half of this list is where the expensive mistakes live, starting with who you hire. And if you subscribe, you can keep on helping me make videos just like this. Number 6, never hire an agent out of obligation. Never split the job to keep the peace. I'm talking about the niece with the new license, the friend from the gym, the neighbor who left a bottle of wine. Interview 2 or 3 agents. Hire the best one. And if that creates an awkward dinner conversation, have the awkward dinner conversation. It's cheaper than mispricing the biggest asset you own. And the compromise people reach for, co-listing between 2 different brokerages so nobody's feelings get hurt, is worse than either choice. 2 brokerages means 2 marketing plans, 2 sets of expectations, and when something goes wrong, 2 parties pointing at each other while you hold the bag. 1 listing, 1 brokerage, 1 accountable professional. Same logic for open houses. Only your agent, their team, or the brokerage host your home. An agent, some from another brokerage you have no relationship with, standing in your living room with your valuables, hosting strangers, is a liability you never agreed to. Number 7, never accept a long closing without knowing exactly why. In Toronto, 30 to 60 days, that's normal. In 90 days, can make sense with a clean reason. Maybe it's a tenant matter, a building completion, a cross-country move. What you never accept is 90 or 120 days with no explanation, because a buyer asking for months of runway on a supposedly firm offer is very often waiting to sell something. Talking about the condo, maybe their cottage, maybe stock to actually qualify. That's a hidden condition wearing a firm offers clothing. And every extra month is another month for rates to move, for markets to maybe wobble, and for your buyer to get cold feet. Short closings close. Long closings collect surprises. Number 8, never agree to stay quiet about something you know is wrong with the house. This is the one that can follow you after closing. And it's one where a seller's instinct to protect the deal creates the most damage. In Ontario, the general rule is buyers beware, and you're not required to volunteer every imperfection. Patent defects, the things a buyer or the inspector can see with ordinary diligence, are their job to find. But that protection disappears for latent defects. Hidden problems, reasonable inspection would not reveal, particularly ones that make the home unsafe or unfit to live in. Those you have a duty to disclose. And no version of buyer beware protects the seller who actively conceals a defect, misleads a buyer, or is willfully blind to a serious problem. So you think about that, what that means practically in our housing stock. The basement that floods every spring has been dry for 3 months. Your house is listed. The number 2 behind a finished wall. The apartment downstairs that was never registered with the city. Somebody, maybe a well-meaning friend, will tell you not to bring it up, or to paint over the stain, or to take the SPIS off the table so nothing is in writing. That advice can cost you the sale price plus legal fees years later, because a buyer who discovers a concealed latent defect after closing has real claim. And Ontario courts have been clear that concealment is not a gray area. The professional answer is the boring one. Tell your agent everything. Put the known issues in front of your lawyer and let them advise on what has to be disclosed and how. Disclosed problems get priced. Concealed problems get litigated. And in practice, a document issue with a repair quote attached scares buyers far less than a surprise their inspector digs up on day 4 when they start wondering what else you did not mention. Number 9, never negotiate your furniture inside the purchase agreement. Ontario contracts already handle this cleanly. Fixtures stay. Chattels go unless listed. And the normal chattels, we talk about washer, dryer, fridge, stove, dishwasher, are routinely included, and that's fine. The problem starts when the offer wants your dining table, your patio set, your pool table. Furniture is emotional. You think it's worth money. The buyer thinks you should be grateful they're hauling it away. And now a $20,000 gap on the house is tangled up with a $2,000 argument about a couch. Keep the purchase agreement about the property. If they truly want your furniture, that conversation happens after conditions are waived and their deposit is committed as a separate side deal. We can no longer poison the main one. Number 10, never accept an offer conditional on the sale of the buyer's property without the full picture and an escape hatch. Conditional on sale means your deal only exists if their deal happens. Before you even consider it, is their property actually listed? Is it priced to sell? What market is it in? And is their eventual buyer solid or conditional too? If their condo is not even on the market yet, you're not accepting an offer. You're accepting lending them your house while they think about it. And if you do accept one, your agent builds in an escape clause, usually to 3 days. If a better offer arrives, the first buyer gets the window to firm up or step aside. You keep selling. Anything less hands a stranger free control of your biggest asset. Number 11. I could go both ways on this, but let me share you one side of the story. The most Toronto item is on this list, the bully offer. You set an offer date, your agent prices the home to draw a crowd, and 2 days before that date, an offer lands with a 6-hour deadline and a message. Sign now or we walk. Since the TRREB rules came in at the end of 2023, you have real options here, including running a more open process. And if you engage a preemptive offer, every registered buyer must be notified so they can compete too. But the principle matters more than the mechanics. A bully offer exists to buy your house before the market gets to price it. Sometimes the number is generally exceptional and your agent will tell you so. So that's the exception. But most of the time, the pressure is the strategy. And the buyer threatening to vanish if you would not skip your own process was planning to grind you all along. The offer date exists to protect your price and your process. Buyers who respect it are buyers who usually close. Every item on this list is the same muscle, the ability to say no warmly, once, and mean it. You're not being difficult. You're running a transaction the size of a small business sale, and the other side is represented, prepared, and unemotional. Match that. Before your house goes on the market, sit down with the agent and walk through this exact list. Decide your answers in advance and let your agent deliver every no for you. This is what they're there for. The seller who decides their boundaries before the first showing are the ones who never have to learn any of this the hard way.